the Beer, Meat, and Cheese podcast. Jonny Sampic, Karter Decker back at it here on another week of Packer football, Karter, and we're just continuing to roll and continue to have fun doing it. I love bringing the show with a win. It's a lot more exciting than, obviously having a loss, but the Packers doing quite well for themselves. They had the squeakers up here at Lambeau Field, and unfortunately that cold weather for Tua, man. He tried to break that narrative, but really couldn't do much with it. And it was another good game from the Packers all around, winning 30-17 at home, and I got a chance to be there. You got the snow globe effect at Lambeau. That was awesome. Lambeau's just a magical place when you do get snow. I know we have kind of lost our home field advantage with the cold and everything like that, but I gotta admit, it is nice to get out there and get that snow kind of weather in, especially when you got a team that really struggles with it coming into town. Now, once again, you are watching the Beer, Meat, and Cheese podcast or listening on ESPN Sports here, and we got your favorite host, Jonny Sampic, Karter Decker. And Karter, we got another fun show to talk about the Packers, and there's a lot to talk about, a lot to unwrap, obviously, heading into this week. Now, we do play on Thursday again against a very good Detroit Lions team, but I really think they have a chance, and we'll get into that. We also have a fun segment here that we're going to be casting throughout the show, and I'll have Karter guess at the end of the show, so we can kind of take notes, muster things up. Hopefully he's not Googling it because I want to see if he can get it from his own head. But he's going to guess a Packer here, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll get things going, though. I mean, obviously the Packers winning 30-17 at home. It was another good game for the team where they hit that 30 mark, which was really something that I was really impressed by. Now, the second half scoring wasn't quite there compared to the first half, but they did get a red-hot start. Matt LaFleur likes to take the ball when he does win the coin toss, and obviously he paid off. He got a first drive touchdown, and I believe they didn't score a touchdown, but they got a muff punt, and they recovered that and scored right away. I mean, what a start, a shotgun out of the gate there. So initially, what were your thoughts on that game? How did you feel about the win, and any areas that you see some critique for?
I actually think that was, again, one of the more complete games that we've played so far this season. Other than obviously playing against a fairly depleted 49ers team, we really came out and balled out against them. Again, all facets of the team were on, we're firing. That is, offense going hard, defense going even harder, and of course special teams. Reason why we got the ball back in the first place after, a fairly short first drive, which ended up getting extended because, again, like I said, muffed that punt. So my initial thoughts watching that game were just super hype. Really, really fun to see, playing out there in the snow. Like I said, had the snow globe effect going on. I live just down the street from Lambeau, so I just enjoyed looking outside and seeing the fireworks go off. And then, of course, um, just listening to everything that goes on in the game. And it just seemed like it was a ton of fun for not only the Packers, but for the fans as well. So I actually wanted to ask you, how was it sitting out there in that freezing cold with all that snow swirling
See,
around?
I'm a stander. I think if you're going to the game, especially on defense, I'm going to stand. And I know I
Mm.
can tick people off behind me, but you know what? You're paying for a ticket and it's bench seating anyways. Why do you want to sit on that? I think they kind of purposely made it for standing. And so I have always been kind of objectional to sitting unless it's a real chair like at a baseball game or something like that, basketball game. The bench seating gives me more of an option to be standing, and I would rather be standing and screaming my lungs out because it's hard to yell too on defense when you're sitting. You don't
Mm.
quite get that diaphragm into it, and the lungs don't quite have the pressure with it. But yeah, it was a ton of fun to be there and a ton of fun to get the win. I actually love the cold weather games. I just think they're a lot more fun. Um, Tailgating out in the cold, it just makes things more fun. You drink a little bit quicker and things are a little bit cooler. Now, I a beer in the cold is not always the greatest, but you know what? When you're at a Packer game, it tastes a lot better. So I got to give it that. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. I can't
Those
say
cold
anything.
metal seats, they're not really for sitting, especially when it's
No, when you got snow
under
pants on,
freezing.
you're also like 4 or 5 inches wider than you normally are, and then you
Yeah.
can't fit in there. You're trying to bundle in. I mean, we managed to fit, but it was obviously snug, um, and we brought some skinny people too, and it was like holy crap, it was getting tight and cushy in there. But that's all right. We only sat really for the halftime show. The violinist, I can't remember what her name was, but I apparently was freezing her toes off, and I don't blame her. She was out there in like a skirt and leggings, and I'm like, oh, that's a bad move.
Bad choice.
Might need some fashionable boots or something, because once your feet are on the
Some waders and a sweatshirt. There you go. That's what you need.
yeah, and she was really good. I mean, she was fantastic at with the violin. Every time I watch her on the down on the field, I'm like, oh, she's got to be cold. And did you? So you as a football player, did you ever use Tiger Balm?
No, actually, and I saw Joe Burrow was throwing shade out at Jamar Chase because he was using stuff like that to keep himself warm. He said, "I'm not going to throw you the ball if you're wearing that." So
Yeah,
no, I never did. We had a few cold games up here, but it's also D3 college, so we don't play too late into the year. But we had a lot of cold practices, I will say, and there were several practices where they'd do like bear crawls in the sleet and stuff like that. So I would say I never used that, but what I did, at least to keep my hands warm, is I always put on latex gloves under my
yeah,
gloves.
you mentioned that.
Um, or a few layers, of course. I'd wear something tight underneath and then something looser over that to then put the shoulder pads and everything on. I was a big rolling up my jersey kind of guy because I never like to get pulled down by my jersey or get held on by my jersey. I was always tying it in knots on the back or putting it under my pads up top. So I layered. I'll be honest, I layered a lot. In games though, I didn't really like wearing sleeves that much. I always felt like it was a little slicker, trying to carry the ball. Catching the ball was never the issue, but then holding on to it after the catch, always thought to be a little bit different. But I always rocked at least one like arm sleeve, and that's just kind of what I did. But never did the foot warmers or hand warmers, nothing like
No,
that. Never
nothing.
did no, never did the Vaseline trick. I heard that a bunch. Never
Oh
did
yeah,
that. A
you
lot
mix
of
it
my
with the Tiger
defensive guys,
Balm, you get the heat and the locks
right?
up your pores.
Yeah, a lot of the defensive guys did that, but they also were the defensive guys that went out there with no undershirt, just straight jersey and shoulder pads. So I don't blame them for doing that. I wasn't about it because I always thought if I get it somewhere on my glove or if I get it on my arm or on the ball,
You're just too
it's just
scared to
gonna
do
make
it,
it
weren't
worse.
you?
Yeah, I was probably just a little scared
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
want to put all that stuff on.
Makes you look
I just enjoyed the
prettier.
cold.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I just wanted to look good and play good, and then I didn't want to feel the cold at all. So I tried my best, but never really got into that stuff.
yeah, and let's talk about the game a little bit. Love 21 for 28, 274 yards, fantastic game from him. Two TDs. Tua, 37 for 46, 365 yards, and two TDs. Jacobs on the ground, 19 carries, 43 yards, one TD. Mostert, 5 carries, 19 yards. Jonny Smith in the receptions, 10 receptions, 113 yards. Kraft, 6 receptions, 78 yards in that contest versus Miami. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is we did that without some of our top players on the roster. I mean, we did it with that without Edrin Cooper, Jair Alexander was out, and your guy Romeo Dobbs wasn't playing that game. And a lot of guys stepped up in that contest, and I really got to give a lot of credit to the Packers for continuing to find ways to win. And I mean, just keeping ourselves competitive at all times. I mean, Jaden Reed, whether it's him, whether it's Jacobs running on the ground, Christian Watson with a big catch. My favorite guy now, kind of mustering up, especially after today. What he said, Tucker Kraft. I mean, that dude sounds like he wants all the heat, and I love it. But
Yeah,
I mean, the Packers just look good.
yeah,
They
straight up.
really do.
Yeah, I think they played a great game. And like you said, 21 for 28, not bad for 274 in the cold. Not bad at all. Now, Tua didn't really look like it in the game, but he did throw for quite a few yards. And I really thought after going back and watching the film and rewatching it, really was the Jonnu Smith game. The dude was just catching everything, and he was
Yeah.
the little outlet for everyone, or for Tua. I mean, Tyreek didn't touch the ball too many times. Still had a good amount of yards. I think he was like 60 yards, something like that. Waddle got a few catches in there as well,
You'd
and
think the
Tua actually
Penguin would
spread the
do
ball out.
better in the cold.
Right, if that's your thing, you would think that he would play super well in
He
the
would
cold, but he
thrive in
only
the
caught
cold.
once or two. Yeah,
Yeah.
he only caught once or one or two balls, nothing crazy. Um, but I think our defense was just awesome. I think our linebackers were absolutely lights out.
Quay
I got
played
a few stats
fantastic.
here. Yes, I got a few stats here I actually wanted to share with you because I really, really thought it was just awesome the way our linebackers played. Um, Only allowed 14 carries for 39 yards.
Yeah.
That one, huge. That includes Tua, Achane, and Mostert. That was awesome. Under 40 yards, and then Walker and McDuffie tied for 10 total tackles apiece. McDuffie ended up coming out with one more solo tackle at 7, and Quay ended up with 6. So awesome. Our two middle linebackers just going absolutely insane. The one play where McDuffie came up and just absolutely lit up the running back, or yeah, was it a wide receiver, running back? But teeth tape. I mean, put his helmet on the ball, put him all the way back in the dirt. Didn't give up on the play. Just looked awesome. So I really think our linebackers are our standout. I would say our standout
Isn't
position group
that
of the game.
shocking? I mean, they had so much troubles before Cooper
Mm,
came out, and it's like they united as a group and they found their way. Like we were talking about Quay Walker, whether he should be removed into a different position. Is he really going to be that standard linebacker and more? Or should we move him to more of an edge rushing? Because he is slippery and he had his
yeah,
troubles, but it seems like he's kind of found some rhythm here. And I was hoping he would. I mean, he's a Georgia Bulldog. He won a national championship. He's played for big programs. He can handle the heat, and I'm actually really glad he's kind of found himself because even in against San Fran, again another really good game. So these past 2 weeks, I think that actually the biggest thing has been Quay Walker finding his rhythm and finding where he fits into this defense. And I mean I'm sorry to cut you off, but he's looked
you're good.
fantastic.
Yeah, and like you said, like he didn't have, as great of a start to the year as we really wanted to, especially with how he finished last year. The way I kind of see it, he's a very see ball, get ball kind of guy. Well, at least that's what he kind of looked like at the beginning of the year. Hence the talk are talking about maybe moving him to an edge rusher or maybe more of like a Engebare position type thing. But like you said, the last few weeks he's just been looking absolutely graceful. He got spun around once or twice
But
on a
that's
few
gonna
plays, but
happen in that
yeah,
kind of
but he made
roster. How fast they are.
right. And he got out because he didn't bite on the run game, but he took a few steps forward, ran back, got into his zone, was looking for the ball. Ball got out, and he went over there and clapped on it. So I can't really complain. I think they absolutely played lights out. That was actually the title of my takeaway. There was lights out linebackers. So I think they played fantastic. I
I
would
like
give
that.
them
I
the
like that.
lights out linebackers. But I would give them the position group of the game, just because they played utterly well. I mean, obviously he two or threw for a lot of balls that ended up in the secondary. But whenever he threw that ball over the middle, man, it was scary.
It
Other
was
than Jonnu
dangerous.
Smith, yeah, other than Jonnu Smith getting a few good yards off of a few dump plays, we'll allow that. Our motto is bend don't break, and I think our linebackers just look solid. Other than that, offense, like you said, looked fantastic. Our corners were doing okay. I'm not gonna lie to you. My critique for the corners is going to be Eric Stokes. Unfortunately, he didn't look like he had his footing out there. It wasn't like flipping around or anything, but he missed a really big open field tackle that would have actually set them up for I think it would have been a 3rd and 15 or maybe a 2nd and 15, something like that. Would have been a huge play, and then just ended up whiffing on it. Um, I think that is really where we're suffering right now. Keyshawn Nixon, actually, I would say the opposite about him. He actually played really, really well this game. Had a few, I don't think he had a PBU, but he had a lot of good protection. Was sticking to his guys like glue. That's where I would give my props to. But I think the player that really needs to kind of step up, especially now with um, Jair just starting to get back in the swing of things, and he's only played 47.5% of the snaps this year, which is not good for your starting corner. You really want him to play all the snaps, or at least 90% of them. But to see him not in there, and hopefully get back with the next few games, we really needed Stokes to step up. And then, of course, the other side, we need to step up as well. But I think that's where my critique of the game would be.
Yeah. And not to step aside here, but I got to give you your first hint of pick that Packer.
Hmm. Hint
So
time,
this
hint
one,
time. Let's go.
it's going to be kind of general, but this player attended the University of Michigan.
Okay.
University of Michigan. He was a Wolverine, and
Hmm.
I think you're already kind of churning the wheels there. But I want to give that. We're going to guess at the end of the show here, and we'll see if you get it. I mean, I think you got this one.
I
But
think I got it, but I want to hear the rest of the clues just to make sure, because I
yeah,
don't want to
yeah.
guess too early. I don't want to look dumb, I want to get all the info
He's
I
a
can.
he's a
But
pretty notable graduate that I feel
mm,
like you have an idea, and I think anybody watching the show might already have an idea.
I
Um,
think everyone's first name already popped in their head, but I'm not. I'm trying to pull back the layers. So okay, I got the first one locked in.
all right, and there's one hint that'll give it away. So I mean, it'll be fun,
Okay.
but that's all right. I
Awesome.
want you to get it this week. Next week we'll go a little bit
Yes,
tougher. This is the
you
first
can go
week.
hard next week. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
All right, but back at it. I mean, we were talking about the linebackers, the cornerbacks playing subpar, but decent. The offense looked good, I would say. There was definitely plays where I think Kraft could have got involved. I really want to see Kraft get more involved in something that I, saw today on the old Twitter lines is Kraft wants a piece of Kirby Joseph. And if I'm Kirby, especially, I mean, Kirby, what a name. But Kirby Joseph, it, that's the last guy I want running at me is Tucker Kraft. I mean, if he's barreling down the field at, whatever, 18 miles an hour, whatever he can top hit, and he's coming right at you, or shoulder to chest. I got a feeling Kraft's gonna win that battle. Kirby's not that big of a dude, and basically Tucker Kraft is tired of the Lions, hurting people, and he hurt his friend. Obviously there's a twist of the leg last game. Brian Branch gets kicked out. The head-to-head contact. A lot coming up here, Karter, with this game. And, we kind of talked about the Dolphins, kind of wrap things up there. Just talking about kind of where areas were, but we still got the win and another 30-point game. But now we got a really tough contest here against the toilet and in the toilet. But, Karter, this is a game that I really think if we're going to win a big game, we can win this game. I mean, given what the Bears did last week or Thanksgiving, we can win this game.
I really think so too, and I think they're trying to find the Packers. That is, I think they're trying to find every little thing they can use to get them fired up and get those wheels turning.
This is.
And like,
Go ahead. Sorry.
oh, what were you saying?
This is the first time in a long time I've seen us on the attack. And because they came to town, remember, and they were the F Green Bay, it was Amon Ra. And then, Kraft comes out today and says he wants all of Kirby Joseph. I mean, let's not just have a piece. Let's have the whole thing.
It all.
Yeah.
Give me the whole pie. I want it all.
And frankly, how beat up they are right now. I mean, they just signed Jamal Adams, but Jamal Adams is going to have to be playing more of a linebacker position, I would think. With what's that? Azaloni out? Is that what his name is? Long-haired dude.
Alonzo?
Is it Lonzo?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I mean, it's gonna be Zadarius Smith revenge game because he's always looking to come back at us for whatever reason. Like we treat him so poorly, even though he sat out every game and never played and collected, however many million in 2-year contract. He's been looking for that for a long time. He went to the Vikings, and now he's making Vikings a revenge game too. Zadarius, I mean, he's good. He's good. But he's not great. He can be stopped. Put Zach Tom on him. I mean, it's not going to happen. It's just simply.
I like how this is. It's a revenge game, man. You left us, and then you went to go to another team,
and it didn't work out
in our division.
Yeah.
And then you flopped out, and now you went to another team within the division. Like, okay, these teams are picking you up because maybe they want a little information, a little insider information on what you guys are doing over there.
But that's almost 3 years ago now, right?
Right. So, like, are you really holding? What kind of grudge do you really have against us? It's like, okay, whatever. You could feel that way all you want. But look at last game. They have a lot. They have Calais Campbell on Miami, and Jordan Love did not get sacked once. 5 sacks on Tua, 0 sacks on us. So Zadarius Smith can pressure all he wants, but guess what? Jordan Love thrives under pressure. Third down conversions, he's actually a little bit lower on the conversion side. I actually just saw the stats on third down when he's pressured. He's only a 41% completion rate, and then or excuse me, that was what I was trying to say. Only a 41% completion rate, which doesn't sound great, but that's also, this whole season. These last few games, we've been playing lights out. Our line has been doing fantastic. He's barely getting touched, and it's really good to see. So I think Zadarius Smith can talk all he wants. I think we got an absolute brick wall in front of him, in front of everyone on that defensive line, of course. And I'm really confident in our line at this moment.
Yeah, and I'm, like you said, the pressures, the sacks, everything else. It all seems to be clicking with our team. We're not fully there yet. I promise you that. We're not fully there. We still have drops. We still have thrown behind the back passes. And, just off the hands, just not getting collected in. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is a really exciting time because I think, and you know what I look back at and I keep thinking about is that blocked field goal on the Bears. Right from there, it seemed like something changed. Something we got our swagger back a little bit. Not fully there yet. But then we go to San Fran. San Fran's, talking the crap. Yes, they were down a few players, but we were also down a few players. I mean, we weren't down a quarterback, but we had, again, Cooper. I think Dobbs went out halfway through the game with a
In the
concussion.
third quarter, concussion.
And then
wasn't in.
Jair. If we get Jair back, I mean, he could lock down Amon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Even
think we do
Hurt.
great. I think we do a lot of. I think we'd play a lot more zone against the Lions. I don't see us playing a ton of man-to-man, especially when we have a few liabilities at corner with Keyshawn and Stokes. Not liabilities, that seems very hard, but
But
they're
that's what
not
you got to
the
do. You got to
fastest guys.
comprehend. You got to
Right, and
compensate.
that's just understanding our defense. And I think we do really, really well in zone. We played a ton of zone against Miami because they got some speedsters. And I think this is really going to be where our linebackers need to thrive. Because obviously Jared Goff will throw the deep ball when it's necessary, but
He's
been
not comfortable doing
dinking
that.
on the field. Right, he's not extremely comfortable. He will when he has to, but he doesn't want to. He wants to dink and dunk, throw the 5 yard out.
That's where he's made his living.
For the slants, and that's okay because Jared Goff is really good at that. But again, that's where it comes in, staying in our zone, staying disciplined, making sure we're reading the line, don't bite on the play action because they do it a lot. They got that tandem at running back, which also takes a lot of our linebackers' attentions away. So you got Sonic and Knuckles over there.
The stupidest
more like
name. And
Sonic
then they
Knucklehead.
gave their secondary name too. It was like grabbing
Did they?
something weird. It was really weird.
Grab it.
It almost sounded just borderline inappropriate.
Oh.
You try for the nicknames. Sonic and Knuckles, fine. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, have at it, as you may. But I really think this Packers team, if there's an opportunity, even just because we are finding our gear, and I'm not going to get upset either way. Obviously, I'll be upset if we do take the L, but I think either way, we are churning the butter here. I think we're going to be better than most teams think come late in the season. I think we just need to pick up a few divisional wins here. And we make real... I mean, I think we can really crack... 30 points a game. We're averaging between the last two games 34 points a game. If I do the math correctly, 38 and 30. Find the median there. It's 34. That's pretty good for us against solid teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, they were beaten down, but again, really good game. But let's talk quickly about the Lions here, and then we're going to do a score prediction, and then I'm going to give you your second hint of the day, and that's going to be making fun here. So let's make things fun. So speaking of the Lions, they did escape a close one versus the Bears, and obviously I texted you. I remember wondering what happened as the Bears blew the game, losing 23-20. Eberflus now fired with poor clock management, to say the least, and still had a timeout in his back pocket. Didn't use it. And wasted the last 2 minutes.
32 seconds with one timeout, ready to go. It took one play, 32 whole seconds to get off.
We really couldn't get a break this weekend from other teams.
Right.
I was watching that Cardinals.
Vikings couldn't lose. The Lions couldn't lose, and then of course the Bears lose. It's like, all right, of course.
Yeah, the Bears. I mean, Eberflus. I mean, what are you even doing at that point? Like, I feel like all my attention would be on the clock.
He's just staring off into the sunset. He's like, he's not paying attention at all. Just straight face,
soaking in the scene. But
yeah, it looked like. It almost
it was just so weird. It was like I was screaming timeout on the TV. Right. And I'm like, how do you not know that there's 8 seconds left, clocking it down? Even a spike to stop it, like the play before, get it like 24 seconds, get a couple plays down. And it was the fact that they had to huddle up. They didn't have a set play. They went back. I mean, that's total Bears football because it was like we were watching at Thanksgiving. And my uncle's like, "Don't get too hyped up for the Bears," and I'm like, "Well, this is a real time. They can actually do something." And he's like, "It's not gonna happen," and sure shit, it doesn't happen. And I'm like,
Imagine
"Come
that.
on, Bears!" Like
It
we
almost
even
looked
predicted
like
it. We even predicted it. We're like,
right. We were like, come on, you can upset them.
"You
You
can
can
do
do it.
this."
And they were right there.
They're on the doorstep. They just didn't step inside, and it was just like, how does Caleb Williams not call a timeout in that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna try and get at. Like it almost seemed like Matt Eberflus was just like giving the game to Caleb. Like it seemed like he's like, all right, just 2 minute drive. I'm not gonna help you. I'm just gonna sink or swim, man. This is your time to shine. And I get that to a certain extent if you got Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or an experienced quarterback
But
who
I feel
knows
like
what they're
even
doing in
an
those 2 minute drills.
inexperienced quarterback would know to call a timeout.
It almost seemed like he was told not to. Like it just looked really, really weird. Like again, I don't know why he didn't. I don't
Begs
know
the
why they're
question.
wasting it.
Begs the
Right?
question.
Were they just trying to tank it so they could move on to the
Yep.
next season? And I don't know. It seemed like Eberflus just was like, "Go ahead, Caleb, do it." And then Caleb was like, again, rookie quarterback, big stage, coming back for the game. He's focused on the score. He's focused on trying to get it down there. Maybe he loses track of it because again, he's a rookie. He's not. No, he's not an NFL, or he is an NFL quarterback, but he's not an experienced NFL quarterback. He's still on his first year, and he had no one ahead of him to
It
learn
was
from.
so weird. It was like
It
I'm
was real
yelling.
weird.
I was the biggest Bears fan for about 2 minutes, and
Yeah, those last 2 minutes, I
had my
all
bear
green and
paw
gold
up
off.
and had my bear paw and foam finger up, and I'm like, "Let's go, come on!" And I'm like, "You guys," and they were like, "It wasn't like it was out of field goal range. It was on the 35 or something like that, maybe the
Right,
40." And it's like one dink and dunk pass, you're in field goal
right.
range, and you can knock
And then
this
on
down.
and then their fourth down attempt, they instead of going for something that's like instead of sending multiple people down the field to get in the end
Oh
zone when
yeah,
you
they
know
send
that's
one
where
guy
you
in
wanted
triple
to go,
coverage.
they send one guy in triple coverage or double coverage, whatever it might have been, and then just completely overthrow him. Not even get it close to him. Don't even give him the
It was
shot.
just
If you're
like
gonna
the
throw that ball,
the
you have
Bears.
to at least give him the opportunity to catch it. At the very least, if they intercept it, you know the game's over. If he drops it, the game's over. If he catches it, game is over. It's like, okay, you can't overthrow him. You can't underthrow him. You just have to put it somewhere where he has a chance, even if the defense has a chance. And
Yep.
it's nothing. Seemed like all football IQ went out the window as soon as the clock hit 1 minute, and just everyone was staring. No one was caring,
I have no idea what
and it
happened
just
there. It was like
happened.
a glitch in Madden.
Yeah, really. It seemed like the Matt Eberflus was like glitching onto the sidelines, just zoning off, not paying attention, and then before you know it, the game's over, and it's like okay, didn't even try, could have knocked off the top team, could have given everyone else a good chance at number one, but no, lose.
I mean, it was the fact they had to rely on the Bears. I feel for Bears fans. I mean, I like to make
Yeah,
fun of them, but you know what? If that's what you're putting out on the field, paying guys millions of dollars to play a child's game, and they can't even do it well, like, how is the sideline not screaming timeout at Eberflus? Like, is everybody just zoned out, looking
right.
around?
Where's the OC? Where's the person that's behind him? Where's the
Like, this is
backup
a lot
quarterback that's
deeper than
sitting.
Eberflus. Like, I get that
Right.
I know they can't call timeouts technically, but if they would have called timeout and get the 10-yard penalty or whatever it is, fine. Like, give me that, because at least it gives you a chance to get a couple plays off. It was just so stupid. But let's talk
Yeah,
about
it
the
was
game
crazy.
here. Williams, he actually didn't play that bad. 20 for 39, 256 yards, 3 TDs. Goofy, 21 for 34, 221 in yardage and 2 TDs. Williams, 4 rushes, 39 yards. He was the leading rusher, tied with Swift with 11 carries for 39 yards, which is just brutal. And then Montgomery, 21 carries, 88 yards. Moore had 8 catches, 97 yards, and the TD. St. Brown, 5 catches, 73 yards. But yeah, this game was just one of those games where, like, it seemed like something happened. Like, like something big happened, like a news story broke, and everybody froze for a minute. And it was like nobody was paying attention to the game. I was certainly paying attention to the game. I'm like, come on, call a freaking timeout. It's right there. You
Oh,
have one. And that was the whole pretense going into that drive, was that, oh, the Bears still have a timeout. They can make this happen. And then they don't even use it. It's just the Bears. I mean, my God, you guys, you got to play. I've seen Pop Warner teams with clock management a lot better than that. I mean, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was sad. It's what's even worse than that? They lost the game. Your number one rusher is your quarterback. And it's like, okay, you can't
Well, he
do that,
tied with the
especially
number
when it's
one
a young
rusher.
quarterback. Well,
Well,
I mean,
actually,
yeah,
yards per
who's the
carry,
running
he was
back?
better.
Yeah, yeah, 11 for 39 or 4 for 39. I'm taking, Williams as my number one rusher, but you can't do that. I mean, yeah, if you're Lamar Jackson, maybe you could get away with that, but when's the last time Lamar Jackson led the Baltimore offense in rushing yards?
Well,
It's been
Derrick
a little
Henry
bit.
also gets probably 60 or 40 carries a game.
Yeah, and again, like I would hand it up to him, but if your running back can't even produce, more yards than your quarterback
Swift is
can when he's running the
garbage.
ball. I know, and I hate to say it because I was really hyped for Swift and I got him on my fantasy team. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, that's brutal.
So that was
I
yeah,
took
that was
James
that
Cook.
was
I
rough.
got clowned at the beginning of the year, and I knew he was
Yeah,
going to be good. They got a good run line there in Buffalo. But I'm going to
yeah.
give you your second hint of the
Okay,
guess that
I'm ready.
Packer. We're going to just take a quick intermission. And so this player during his career, he played for Washington. They were the Redskins at that time. And Jacksonville Jaguars, Green Bay obviously, the Oakland Raiders, and the Detroit Lions. That one's a little bit tougher of a hint because it doesn't really give you any real key factors. The next hint is gonna really set it apart. But I wanted to give you that one so that we have two down, Carter, and we are guessing that Packer. Was indeed a Packer, and
I-
I think you got this. I think you do. But yeah, back to the game. I mean, just stupid the Bears.
Yeah,
And it's the
bad
fact that they
management.
believe in the hype every year. It was like, I mean, I saw the. Did you see? Have you looked at that Ryan Poles video? So I looked back actually yesterday, and when Ryan Poles was announcing that Eberflus is the coach, he said we're going to take the North and never give it back. That big iconic speech, and it really. I mean, it would be a cool speech if you followed through on any of it. But he said during the interview with Eberflus, he was totally swept off his feet by the in-depth look, the planning, and I'm like, there's no planning in that guy. I mean, that guy looks like he's just picked up a Madden or a PS5 controller and started playing Madden. Against some 12-year-olds. I mean, my God. I mean, it was just like it's like the easiest thing to do is call a timeout. All you got to do is, I mean, we've done it since we were little kids. Yeah, yep, just hit it like that.
And
Yeah, you want timeout. You're wrestling with your brother. He's beating up on you. You need timeout. Need a little break. Need a little break. You got to get that energy back. But it's just like out of all the teams that it had to happen against, it was the Bears or had to happen.
right.
I mean, it's just like
When they're facing the Lions, again, you have the opportunity to not topple, because they still would have been probably number one according to
just
losses,
to
but
unseed a little bit.
right. But just to like go after the big dog, show everyone else in the NFL like, hey man, we've been
Like
having
you
a really
actually
good
have some
season.
footing here, guys,
Right.
and
You
you
could have got a
don't.
little
I
bit of
mean,
clout for this.
and I don't know how
You could have been
McCaskey hasn't fired everybody on the organization, just cleaned house. I don't know how Ryan Poles still has a job. That's beyond me. I know people think he's a genius for that trade, for Bryce Young, for all those picks. I mean, it's just like, come on, guys. You guys believe in the hype all the time. It's like, did you ever wear the Stephen Marbury shoes?
I'd have to see
There
him.
was a time in Green Bay, there was a Stephen Marbury store, and they were really cheap shoes, but they were really cool looking. So they had like a bunch of bright colors. He's a basketball player for I believe the Nets and the Knicks. He opened a couple stores up, and one was open in Green Bay, and that was all the hype because they had such cool color schemes. Like they had Knicks like orange, blue, white, and his logo on them, and they looked like professional basketball shoes, but they wore out after a month. And it was like, but they only cost like $25, so it was like you just bought another pair. And it was, I mean, that's the Chicago Bears with the blue, white, and or orange. I mean,
Right.
it's all this hype for just nothing. I mean, they're just
Right.
pathetic.
Just
I
to get worn out by game three, and they're like,
Yeah,
okay, we're old and used
and then they're
already and
just
can't
like,
do
oh, let's
nothing.
go back to the draft, and it's gonna be all hype again next year. again, and they're probably going to actually get a couple linemen. But it was like,
Well, they need to. They need to. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
like
they
that's just
absolutely
like
need. If they
priority
don't get
number one.
linemen, they are simply failing the McCaskey family. Um,
Mm.
and the Bears. I mean, I just feel for you guys. Like you have no control over it. It's not like it's a privately owned. Not that the Packers have, like if I said something, Packers aren't going to change anything, but at least there's a board that can make a decision. Um, Now with the Bears, it's just like you guys have nothing, and you guys are pathetic. It's
Yeah.
boring, boring to watch.
I want to know what Eberflus said, like you had mentioned. I want to know what he really said to sweep Ryan Poles off his feet. Because man, he should have been fired 4 games ago. He
Well,
should have
the
never
thing
made
was,
it this
it's like
deep into
if
the
he's
season.
really sweeping you off her feet, because he talked about how in depth the interview went and how he's looking at, this plan. Guy Eberflus hasn't done anything for the Bears. I mean, he hasn't done. I don't know why I'm even getting upset with it because I'm like, why? You
If
go
it's a
to the
team I
circus, you
hate,
go to the circus and expect a clown. You don't go to a football game and expect a clown on the sideline. And it's
right?
just like you dropped your nose, Eberflus. You dropped your nose. Um, but it's just like I mean, I like. I'll send you that video of Ryan Poles sending or talking about him hiring when he hired Eberflus, how in depth he was, how he's going to bring a change to the organization, and he went out the way he did. And now they're looking for Ben Johnson from the Lions, and to try to fill in. But I really don't think he's going to go that way. I think there's more to that they got to clear out before they get a real responsible coach in Chicago, unfortunately. But let's switch gears a little bit. So we did talk about the Packers playing the Lions. Talked about the Bears and Lions game, but now it's prediction time, Carter. It is prediction time. Packers, they head to Detroit in a show that should be a lot of fun. I got a feeling I know which way you're going with this one, but let's get after it, pal. Who are you picking?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game is going to be electric. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Obviously, we got two great defenses out there. Detroit's very standard. They play well. They got a few holes in their defense, but they play well regardless. They're also on the mantra of bend, don't break. And of course, our defense has been playing absolutely lights out. So I imagine it's probably going to be a little bit of a higher scoring affair. Obviously, our defenses are good. However, we got two really strong offenses going head to head, and just the league that we're in, offense seems to always prevail. So, my prediction for this game is, like I said, it's going to be up there. I imagine we're going to. I really want to take this, and I think this is really going to be the win that we need. And like you said, once we block that field goal out down there and in the Windy City, it seemed like everything changed. Seems like we got
Against
a second wind in our
Eberflus's
sails.
circus, yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like we got another, pep in our step, and this is my time. I've said it, I say it every week, so this is gonna be my one time saying it. We don't need to peak till the end of the season, and it seems like we're starting to go on that nice, really uphill
A
trend.
good a good
So I think this is
incline.
gonna be, right, I think this game is gonna be one that we need. I think that's one that we want, and I think that's one that's very winnable. So I'm gonna go, like I said, close. I'm gonna go 34-30. I think it's gonna be, relatively in there. I think it's gonna come down to an onside kick. Lions are going to try and get the ball back so they can at least score three, and we're going to recover that onside kick, and we're going to knee the game out. Jordan Love's going to get his knee dirty once. He's not going to get, well, hopefully he's not going to get touched, and the only time he puts his knee on the ground is going to be to put in that victory formation. So I think we come out on this one on top. I think we topple off the big bad boys, and we take home the
The
W.
dirty bad boys, if I would call them.
The dirty bad boys. Yep.
I
And
don't
like
like.
like you
I
said,
do not
we
like the
got little
Lions. I've
fires.
lost all respect for them.
Yeah, they're really not playing fantastic ball, but we got those little fires that are starting to, chirp underneath
I like what
our
Kraft
butts.
did. I like what Kraft did.
We got
Coming
Kraft
on the
going out there
attack,
saying,
dude.
"Hey,
He
he didn't
wants
say
you,
he's gonna hit him. He's like, I'm going for you, but
and
guess
that's an
what? It's gonna
offensive
be on
guy.
the
It's not like a
field."
defensive guy saying it. That's an offense. It's
Yeah,
like Josh Jacobs when he waved Jalen Johnson to hit him.
yep.
I think there's a lot of that mentality going on in Green Bay. But my
And I
score
like how he said
prediction.
he wants to do it in between the lines of football. He's like, I'm gonna make a football play. I'm not gonna be dirty. I'm gonna go out there and make a football play, but you are going to remember it when I do. So 246 pounds of pure man muscle, not gonna be fun for Kirby
Pure
Jones. So
man meat.
he better hope that man, he better hope that he stays out of that
Gotcha,
box.
Carter.
It doesn't get down there.
We had a kid on my baseball team growing up. We played tournament ball. Shout out to Brett. He used to call himself a delicious piece of man meat, and when he's by the pool and stuff. So that always stuck. But
He might be up there with bad nicknames.
for my score prediction, obviously I'm going Packers, and you got to think the Packers got to click here. I mean, this is a time to do it, and we look really good. I think we're gonna get some guys healthy again, and I mean, I just think we got this. I think we can do this, and it's gonna be so inspiring when it happens because then you're just gonna be like, "Screw you, Lions! Screw you." Um, Now my score prediction is gonna be similar, a little bit more spread out though. I'm going to go 31-24 in favor of the green and gold.
I like that. Win by a little bit, not by a ton
Not
though.
not
I
by a
like it.
ton, but I think, if there's a team that can do it. Now they didn't show up in the second half versus Miami, but this is a team that can play both halves. We've seen it now. They play really good at the beginning of the last game. They played really good at the beginning of San Fran. Now San Fran, they did play all four quarters, I would say, and against Miami they kind of let off. But I also think part of it was, you're in the cold. It's going to affect you a little bit. Nobody was really playing that well. Dolphins kind of picked things up, but we also kind of let off the gas on defense and tried to rest some guys. But I really think we can do this. Um, I think this is a really good team that's really focused around football. And I just like our mentality. I like this attitude that we're going to go in there. We're going to not take anything, like twist any kneecaps, but just the Tucker Craft mentality. I'm just going to take you to the dumpster, big guy. And you're going to have to ride this shoulder. And I like to see that. I like to see that from the Packers. I like a little edge with our Packers because we don't really have an edge. We're kind of a friendly team. We're like, oh, hey, we're the Packers. We're here. And people don't like us because we win. But I like that we got an attitude. I like that we got an attitude.
Hmm.
It's been a
I
long
do too.
time.
I like the talking. I like the fact that they're looking for those little things to get hyped up about and take them to heart because that's like Michael Jordan type stuff. Like the quote he always has. For me, then it became personal, and it's the smallest things. Michael Jordan would be like, "You could have looked at me the wrong way, or you could have said my name a little bit wrong," and I'm gonna take that so personal. I'm gonna internalize that and just go out there and
Let
whoop
it
people.
manifest a
I
little
I
bit.
really like that. Exactly. I like that mentality. And again, coming from one of our big boys who's just rumbling and tumbling down that field, and like, I mean, you saw the hit last night, or not last night, but when they played against Jalen Ramsey, he went out there and tried to deliver a hit on Tucker, and he just laid him out. Just said, "Nah, get off me." Yeah. Took him off like a little boy. And that's Jalen Ramsey. He was a dog, and he's just
Yeah.
going out there
Once
running
upon a
over
time.
people,
He was
just
best
looking
in
like an
Jacksonville,
absolute
though. He
man.
was best in Jacksonville.
That's when I think his shit talking was at an
Oh
all-time
yeah,
high,
yeah.
and he was
He
in
was
everyone's
he was
head.
fun in Jacksonville.
No one was paying attention to the ball. Everyone's like, "All right, dude, now we're just gonna fight," and he was just getting people out mentally.
All right, we're
But yeah,
just
I
gonna
think his
fight.
I
It's
think
not
his
like
talking has
hockey where
kind
they
of lowered
drop
a little
gloves
bit.
right at the face-off and get the
Right, but you
scrap
remember
going.
Ocho Cinco going out there? Or no, that was AJ Green. AJ
No,
Green went out there
are
and
you
they had the
talking about
fist fight.
Andre Johnson, Cortland Finnegan?
Oh, well, that one was a good one. But I'm talking about the one with Jalen Ramsey when he was in Jacksonville. I
Oh
think
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
either wasn't Ocho. I think it was AJ Green,
It
and he
was
went out
AJ
there and
Green.
AJ grabbed him by the back of the neck and was like and started throwing punches. Like that's the type of player Jalen Ramsey is, and to see Tucker Kraft go out there and just go out there and annihilate him and just walk all over him, shake him off like a little man. It was good to see.
Indeed, it was. Now we'll switch gears a little bit. We're gonna do a Bears score prediction. They play San Fran. Who you got?
Obviously, I'm going with the better team. And obviously they say they're depleted. CMC's out for the rest of the year, torn ACL. Obviously prayers up to him because that's really unfortunate. Came back for a few games, running off of some really
That
bad.
was nasty
Uh,
yesterday. There's a
yeah,
video of the
it did not
calf.
look
Yeah,
good.
that's bad.
Yeah, so obviously prayers up for him. That's really unfortunate. A huge, huge piece of that puzzle there. But you got to remember, this is Kyle Shanahan. As much as you want to say their team's depleted, they don't have their goats in there. They don't have their great players. Kyle Shanahan has thrived with just using whatever pieces he can because he's just got a good offensive mind. So it seems like they'll be able to pick it up at any point. Obviously, you need a quarterback back there, but you're playing the Bears. Bears are going to just find a way to choke, whether it's close or not.
I wish there
I
was
have
a
a
way they
feeling,
could pull it
right?
off.
I just have a feeling that with their new head coach coming in, they're obviously their morale is super low. They're not playing well. They're in these close games, and I get the feeling that it almost feels like why are we even playing these games? If we get these close, we just lose them. So like, why are we even giving this much effort? That's what it seems like the Bears locker room is at right now. So
It's
I'm
not a
giving this
good
to
place to
San
be.
Fran all the way. And I think San Fran's going to win this handily because um,
They've got to be
I believe that
have
they
some
can do
fire in
it.
their belly.
Right. I think they're down and they want to make sure that they can at least continue on to the playoffs. This is their make or break at this point. They lose this game or lose the next few, they're done. So I think the 49ers are really going to kick it up a notch. I think they're going to get back out there. CMC going down, they're going to use that as a little bit of energy. Say, hey man, we got to do it for somebody. Do it for him. So I think they win this handily. I'm assuming it's going to be like a 2 touchdown lead that they're not going to be able to come back from. That is the Bears. So I'm going to say 24-10. I don't think San Fran has the weapons to go really hard. And obviously, the Bears defense is decent, but I don't think they're good enough to stop San Fran. And I don't think the Bears offense is good enough, especially with a new interim head coach. Seems like there's a lot of moving pieces right now, and everyone's kind of jumbled. It doesn't seem like they're extremely focused. I think that they're going to end up losing this one again, 24-10.
All right, I'm going to give you your third hint here, and I'll take a score prediction after. He is a Heisman winner.
Hmm. So you're right. This is the one that might give it away. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I think so. But I wanted to give you that. I'm trying to give it about every 15 minutes. Now, I do have an extra hint if you need the extra one, but we're going to do that one there.
Well, I
And
get extra points for not taking the hint.
you know what? We might give it to you. Because
Okay.
if you think you got it, you can tell me you're locked in.
I won't give it till the end of the show, but I will say right now, I believe I have locked in my pick.
All right, I'll give you that last hint. I actually have one more, but we will give you the last one, and then at the end of the show we'll have yes.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
And then I'm gonna go the other way with the Bears. I got a feeling they gotta do it at sometime. I mean, come on, Bears, we can do this. I mean, I don't know why I'm cheering for you, but it's just because you guys are such a piss poor organization. It's no fun to even make fun of anymore. It's like, kicking the guy when he's down and he's totally just limp and he's got nothing left in him. He's exhausted. And it's just the Bears. So I'm going to go Bears and I'm going to give them 23. And then I'm going to give the I'm going to give San Fran 13, 23-13. Let's go Bears. Come on. Let's
You're gonna
do
go
something.
opposite of me. Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm going to go opposite of you. I want to see the Bears do something,
Interesting.
and I think this is the week for them to do it. Now let's move on to our final divisional opponent, and that, of course, is the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, they did get a win in another game that was just like, come on, Cardinals, can you do anything to help us? And they beat the Cardinals 23-22 in the last game-winning drive. Game I think all Packers fans were hoping the Birds could come out with. Darnold was 21 for 31, 235 yards, 2 TDs. Murray, on the other hand, 31 for 45, 260 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Jones on the ground. He looked awful in that game with a number of fumbles, 5 carries, 22 yards. And Connor on the other side, he actually got sidelined for a while. Connor had 17 carries, 68 yards. Jefferson, 7 catches, 99 yards. McBride, 12 catches, 96 yards. My question remains, yes, they got the win. But the Vikings, are they on the fall? Are they on that downslope?
We really were praying on their downfall because we really want that number 2 spot in the NFC, or at least for our division, we really want the NFC for the second spot. So I really think that they are starting to slip. Seems like they're starting to slip again. Aaron Jones has, I forget the statistic, but they just showed it at the game. Um, he had minimal fumbles with the Green Bay Packers, very minimal, and he has almost tripled that within his first year of being in the Minnesota Vikings. So it seems like some things are starting to get a little
He's
shaky.
helping
It
us
seems like
out. He secretly
it
went in
seems
as a
like it.
spy. Yeah, he's like that guy. He's like, and I know they need a running back over there. I can play for them, drop a few balls, help that Packers.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be
Didn't
nice?
really help at the end because they still won by a point, but
But that wasn't
um,
because of
it,
him. I mean, he did everything right, right?
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, he
Fumbled the
dropped the
ball a few
ball. What did he
times,
drop it
scored
3 times? Put it
touchdown.
on the ground.
I think it was 3 times in the first quarter,
Yeah, it
or
was just
first
awful. I
half.
remember sitting at B Dubs and
Yeah.
I'm like, He did it again.
No
like,
way.
like you think,
Yeah,
after one, yeah, you get a little more cautious. You're thinking about it a little bit more. After two, you're shitting your pants every time you're carrying that ball because you got to hold on to that thing. Like I would put the stick 'em inside the forearm and get anything I can to, yeah, put some gorilla glue in there and maybe help hold it a little bit. I mean, and then the
cover
third
all
time or
points.
whatever it was just like it was the same like guy too doing the peanut punch, and it's just like constant, just the punch right in there, and I'm like every
He's
time
definitely going to be working on that this week. They're going to be just going at him with whether that's like
it'll be
the
like a
foam
boxing
pads or
training, yeah.
yep, they'll have the boxing glove on. They're going to be punching that thing because man, that is just not. It's not him either. Which again, big Aaron Jones fan. I loved what he did for the organization. He's a great player, great guy. Love the sombrero, man. That was so iconic. And I'm kind of sad he pulled that tradition over to the
To
Minnesota
Minnesota, yeah,
Vikings. And
it's
I gave
clownish that he did that.
kind of sad
I'm like,
seeing the purple and gold on
so
the
I
hat,
always wanted
but
us to play the Eminem song when he came back to Green Bay. We're the ones who made you. Eminem. We're the
yeah,
ones who made you.
yeah,
Ba-dum. Yeah.
there you
I
go.
always wanted
But
that. But yeah, I hate the sombrero over there. It's just foolish.
yeah, so I think the Vikings are starting to see, or at least the league is starting to see the holes in the Vikings defense. And a lot of the talk I've been listening to on like ESPN and all these sportscasting shows, it seems to think that the real issue is going to be Sam Darnold. Now he's played phenomenal, obviously, in several of the games this year. He's been fairly consistent, not extremely consistent, but fairly. But this is where the threat starts coming in. So if he can stay consistent, I think the Vikings will remain in that second place as long as they don't, really tank elsewhere. Like if Jay Jettis goes down or if Addison goes down, um,
Or
obviously
Hawkinson
don't want
again.
that to happen. But like if they lose one of their major pieces, it's going to be a big blow to Sam Darnold. So I think if Darnold can actually lock it in and make sure that he's consistent for these last few games, I think they got a chance to really do something well. However, that's really been the question. Can he stay that consistent? And clearly, we've seen in the past that he can't. Obviously being on some different teams and not really having all the confidence of the coaching staff or the players, which he does now at the Vikings organization. So I'll give him that. But again, does history repeat himself towards the end? Does he start throwing a few more picks as he has in the last few games? Obviously not this game. He played fairly well, but he's thrown a few picks the last 5 games. So,
Yeah, he's had his
um,
struggles.
right. And so, will history repeat itself? Will he continue this streak of doing well, or is he going to have a few of those blowout games where he just makes mistakes, isn't making the right reads, they switch up defenses on him, and he just can't do it? We'll have to see what happens. Obviously, I don't want them to be successful because I'd like us to get up there. But if Sam Darnold, obviously keeps his cool, it could be a problem for us. If he loses it, I think we roll right over them the next time we meet, or whoever meets them in the future.
Yeah, and I think the Vikings, slowly but surely, are starting to see some slipping. Um, just they don't look as scary as they did when they started the season. Points aren't nearly as high. Brian Flores' defense isn't quite working as well. I mean, he runs a lot of zones, like you mentioned. And then the one thing I noticed is every blitz went right through the line. I mean, their offensive line has nothing there. So it's like, why aren't you blitzing three downs out of three downs? I mean, run a man blitz, run a zone blitz, do something, and then let's see what happens. But I mean, because the Cardinals got to him quite a few times. He stepped up, but the Cardinals got to him back there, and their line's not very good. So it's like for Green Bay, I mean, you wouldn't even have to run a blitz, I don't think, with that 4-3. And if we keep playing like the way we do, we're going to get there either way, even if we're running a zone on the backside and just kind of running a contain. I think you're getting to that quarterback. I think things are starting to fall apart. I always thought they were kind of a patchwork team like Flex Seal. You just fix it real quick and hope that it holds together. But I mean, they are in the rebuilding process. I mean, that's obviously something that you got to mention. But yeah, I do think the Vikings are falling. Now, they do have their old quarterback coming, or they're playing their old quarterback here coming up this week, and the Dirty Birds. So, who gets the win there, Mr. Karter? Vikings or Falcons? Can Kirk Cousins redeem us after many years of making us kind of angry?
Yes, I'm going to say 100% yes. Now, I will say
He had a bad game.
Kirko Chains had a really bad game,
Really
and
bad.
he's had
That
yeah,
triple
he's had a
triple coverage
few
pick was just awful.
yeah, it's not great, not a great look. However, I believe in Kirko. I'm a fairly big Kirko fan. I liked him. I think he was annoying when he was at, the Vikings, but as soon as he left, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so glad he's out of there. Decent quarterback. He's a family guy. He's a cold cash kind of guy. But I think Kirko Chains comes out, and I think he plays really well against the Vikings. I don't think that's like a revenge game to him because I don't think he harbors any
I don't think he
any
really
anger or
cares.
feelings. But what I do think he knows is he's a competitor and he wants to win.
And he knows Brian
And
Flores.
and he knows Brian Flores. He knows his head coach. He knows how they play. He knows the defense. He knows, and he's got a lot of insight into that team. And again, he's a smart guy. So I think Kirko comes out, and I think he absolutely balls out against the Minnesota Vikings. I think as long as his counterparts on the team, aka Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, I think as long as they stay on track, I think like aka don't drop, no fumbles, making the right runs, making the right routes, that kind of stuff. I think as long as his supporting cast stays with him, I think they take this one handedly. I think the Vikings are due for a pretty bad loss, especially after having a few close games, not only to the Bears, just like the Lions did, the week prior, but then again to the Cardinals, who
They didn't lead
isn't the
once in
greatest
that
team
game
in the
until the
world.
fourth quarter.
Right, and it's not like the Cardinals are insanely good. It's not like they're, the Minnesota not the Minnesota Chiefs,
Minnesota
the Kansas
Vikings.
City Chiefs. Yeah, it's not like they're the Kansas City Chiefs that somehow,
I'd probably
pull
say
out
the
these games
Bills.
and
I think the Bills are more
or
of a
the Bills,
powerhouse than the
right, that just
Chiefs.
go out there and dominate and, win games. They're not like that. So it's it's sketchy to see those kind of or wins um, when you're facing a team like that. But I
Yeah, it
think
feels
the Dirty
fraudulent.
Birds are going to come out. Yeah, I think the Dirty Birds are going to come out on this one. I'll give you my score prediction real quick. Like I said, I think it's going to be fairly handedly. I think that he's just going to tear up their defense, and I think that the Atlanta Falcons have got something to play for. They like Kirk. They stand behind him. So I think they're going to take this one to heart, and they're really going to try and dominate this team. I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring. I don't think that's going to be huge, like a 30-point game or nothing like that. But I do think that the Atlanta Falcons get at least 26 points. I'm going to say they go 26, and I'm going to say the Vikings are going to just kind of scratch the surface. They're not going to lose by a ton, but they're going to end up with 17 points.
All right, I'm going to go similar, but I'm going to give you the final hint of the evening.
I'm all
So,
ears.
the final hint is this player wore number 81 for the Packers.
Hmm.
81. We haven't had an 81 in
Okay.
a long time.
A long time.
But I'm going to do my score prediction. I'm going to actually go Falcons too. I think the Falcons have a chance here to do something special and really kind of disrupt things here in the North. And I think Kirko's, he owes us this. We gave him got a lot of good fun here in the North. And I think he's going to spoil a couple surprises. Score prediction 24-10 in favor of the Dirty Birds. I think the Vikings kind of stall out. We've seen Justin Jefferson's numbers go down a little bit later in the season. Addison's kind of gone up, but I do think the Dirty Birds get the win here, and it'll be a lot of fun. It will be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Now, to close things out here, we have our favorite segment, and that is the Jets still stuck.
Yes, this is my favorite segment. I love this segment.
And the Jets still suck. They obviously they did lose again, I believe, this week
Oh
against
yeah, they lost
who would
again.
they lose to
They
now?
have they lost to the Seahawks.
Seahawks, yes. It was by like a touchdown. Um, Obviously, nothing working out well for the Jets. NFL news. Um, and Jets, just never getting it together. I mean, we've talked about it a lot of times. I don't think there's anything really new we need to talk about. Just need to bring it up that the Jets still suck. But
Yep.
I think that'll just wrap up things here for this episode. But Carter, it's time. It's time to make that prediction. So, who is that Packer?
So I'm actually not gonna lie to you. That last hint absolutely threw me for a loop because the entire time I was like, man, this really sounds like Charles Woodson. Obviously the Heisman, the Raiders thing. But then you said those other teams, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then you gave me the 81. I'm like, oh no. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually don't have a guess because I can't. The name is like on the tip of my tongue, but I
I know
cannot
it's
think
got to
of
be
it.
because he's actually
It's
pretty well known in the
uh,
college football sphere.
I know, and
And
I
I'm gonna
just
say it, and
they
you're gonna be
completely
upset.
threw it for a
Do
loop.
you want me to
I
give
know I
you
am.
one more hint? I'll give you his initials.
No, no, no.
I'll give you
I
one
can't.
initial.
Okay, give me one initial. First name or last name?
We'll do last name.
Okay.
H.
Oh no! Yeah, see, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. Oh, give me 1 second.
He used to do a lot of college football
Oh,
coverage.
why can I not think of it? I was so sure of Charles Woodson too. I was like, man, I don't remember him playing on those teams, but I know he was for the Raiders, and I know he was a Heisman. Oh, okay, you're gonna have to give it to me because I've flopped on this one. Bad way to start the segment.
All right, so Karter didn't get it. So his let me give you both initials. DH. Desmond
Uh-uh.
Howard.
Desmond, Desmond Howard. No way. I want to
Oh,
know who else got it. I want to know who. Tell me who else got it though. Anyone in the comments, please tell me if you got this because that threw me for an
we're gonna
absolute
post.
loop.
I'm gonna
But
post a
Desmond
TikTok
Howard,
cutting each of the like the
each of the
clues,
yes,
and
you'll
then
have to
yeah,
because
we're gonna see if anybody else can get
Desmond
it.
Howard, man.
Desmond Howard, dude. I mean, what a legend. I mean, he was the MVP in Super Bowl 31 with a
Yeah, man.
99-yard kick return. He didn't even play for the Packers that long. He was kind of in and out of the organization, but he was like the first kick returner specialist that won the MVP for the Super Bowl. He's obviously been featured for the Michigan Wolverines quite a bit, and he is quite a Packers legend. But Desmond Howard is the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man.
And Karter got
Hey,
it.
he wore 21. He wore 21 at Michigan as well, man. Oh
Charles
man,
would
I
wore
can't
two
believe
at
I missed
Michigan, I
that.
think.
Yeah, he wore a few different. Oh man.
I thought you
Yeah,
had
wow,
me
that's
too when I said Heisman, and then
dude, I did too.
I knew
I was like, if
I
no
knew I
Tom
was gonna
Brady was
get you
still
screwed
talking
with
about him.
Chuck, because of the
Oh,
both guys winning the Heisman and oh
that
Carter.
was a good one. That's a really, really good one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Those are good hints because I really thought I had it. As soon as you gave me that first one, I was like, oh, Charles, bro, easy. Second one, oh, Charles. The third one, I'm like,
With
wait
the
a minute,
teams,
what?
yeah,
And
you're
then,
like,
yep,
did
and
he
then
play for that many teams? No.
I was like, did I really didn't think he played for that many teams? But I'm
I
like,
think
you
if
know
I
what?
would have
Maybe
gave
he
you the
did.
Super Bowl 31 MVP hit, that would have threw you way
Mm.
off, and you would just been lost. But I thought you
I'd be like,
had it,
what?
dude. When you said you had it
Yeah, I
locked,
really did.
when you
I
gave
was
me,
so confident.
I know
I
you
was
gave me the
so
locked
confident. I
hand
was like, dude,
sign
I'm
there.
locked in.
You're like, I'm locked, dude, and I'm like, oh, he's got it, and I was like,
That's
yes.
bad.
But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you
That's bad.
figured it out, congratulations. I soon hope to have prizes. So what I would like to do is if Karter misses it, we're not going to tell him the answer until the next week and see if people can guess. But that'll wrap things up for the Beer, Meat, and Cheese podcast this week. Karter Decker, once again, Jonny Samp on the talking heads here for the Green Bay Packers, and so much more. Make sure to tune into us, whether you're at the tailgate, and make sure you're eating your beer, meat, and drinking, or excuse me, drinking your beer.
Drinking cheese.
Yeah, drinking your beer, eating your meat, and having some cheese too. We are on Spotify as well as YouTube, and we will be tuning in next week. Karter did ditch me on a watch party for the Thursday night game because he has to watch the dogs again. Uh,
I got a few responsibilities, man. It's my
I know
bad.
you're a grown man. But anyway, signing off for ESPN Sports and the Beer, Meat, and Cheese podcast. That's Karter Decker. I'm Jonny Sam. Let's have a great week, Packers fans, and let's beat these Lions. Let's talk about it. Let's
Yeah,
talk about it next week, right, Karter? Let's go.
absolutely. Hope your Thanksgiving was as good as mine because we got a W, man. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.